Hello guys, welcome back to another video. This is League 2 predictions, game week 1 then of the week. Of course, like for the League 1 Championship, Dan couldn't make it for this video today, but he will be back for the Premier League predictions and hopefully the game week 2 predictions of the week. But I've got a predictions down below. Of course, it's really hot in the UK right now. It has been the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks, probably even for months actually, for the last month. But it's been really hot. The last couple of days look really hot. It's about 29 degrees where I am at the minute, pushing on to 31 at least. And today it was like 35, 36 degrees yesterday. Yeah, it is baking. So I have got a fan, so that's probably what you can hear. But I have turned it down a bit. But yeah, let's get straight into this League 2 predictions. If you haven't already, please subscribe and smash a like. I'm on the road to 40 subscribers. I'm 7 away now from 40 subscribers, so it means a lot if you like, comment and subscribe. And yeah, let's get straight into this. So then, first game then, it is the half-12 kickoff. It's Newport County take on new promoted side Rochdale. Newport, of course, everyone expects them to go down this season. I think most people expect them to actually finish bottom of the league. And yeah, I think people expect them to finish bottom, but with the players they brought in a couple of decent ones, but they've lost a couple of decent ones, and I don't really know their manager too much. They take on new promotions on Rochdale, what probably should stay up comfortably. I think I put them to finish 10th or 11th, to be fair, but I know some people have put them like 15th, 16th. But I do think Rochdale are going to fancy themselves, you know, in their first game of the season. Yes, it's away and it's going to be a very tough game, but I fancy Rochdale to just nick it. I think I'm going to go Newport County 0, Rochdale 1. I can see 1 goal in it. I reckon it'll be scrappy, a late goal, Rochdale to nick it 1-0. Dan has actually just said a couple of goals. He's back to Rochdale as well. He said 2-1 win to Rochdale. Next game is Oldham Athletic taking on Port Vale then. Oldham, of course, very good side. They had a really good season last season. I think they finished, didn't they finish 9th or 10th last season? A really good season for Oldham. Of course, they'll be happy to take on Rochdale this season in their derby, but they take on Port Vale, who have just came down from League 1. And probably some people probably expect them to go back up. Definitely me. I think I'll back them to finish 2nd in the league this season. But I just think it's a tough place going to Oldham on the first game of the season. You don't want to go to a stadium like Oldham, you know, massive stadium. Get so much hundreds, thousands in that stadium. So yeah, and Port Vale will probably take 200, 300 fans. They don't travel that well, do they? Not as I know. I know Wolves, they took loads. When it's a local game, they take loads on, fair play to them. But when it's like this, you know, not that far Oldham, it's about 2 hours. But I do fancy Oldham at home to get the job done. I'm going 2-1 win to Oldham. Dan has actually backed over way. He's backed 2-1 to Port Vale. Next game is Accrington versus Colchester. I'm looking forward to see how Accrington actually do this season, because I think they could have a really good season. If I look at my table, I think I backed them to actually finish in the lower half, but looking at it, I think they could finish higher. Yeah, I've put them in 19th, but I actually think they could finish, of course, higher. Of course, because I think they've signed some really good players. into that team. They take on Colchester, who always said will struggle this season. I think I'll back them to drop off from last season. I backed them to finish 17th for this season. Dan actually backed Colchester to win 2-0, so he's backing Colchester to get a clean sheet. I'm actually backing North Bay. I think Accrington are going to get the job done and win 2-1. Next game is Barnet versus Salford, and I think this will be a very good game. Both teams probably should be up there at the end of the season. Just looking where I'll put both teams for this season. Of course, I've put Barnet to miss out on finishing in 9th, and I'll put Salford in 5th place. Yeah, I think this is going to be a very tough game to predict because it could go all three ways. You know, you never know what could happen on the first game of the season. Dan actually has backed Salford to get a clean sheet and win 2-0. What fair play, it could happen. I just think it could be a really scrappy game. You know, both teams don't want to lose on the first game of the season because, of course, both teams probably going to be up there at the end of the season. So I'm just going to go down the middle and go a 1-1 draw. Next game is Cheltenham against Rotherham, and to be fair, I'm looking forward to see how Cheltenham do now. They've signed someone this morning, Wyman, who used to play for Derby County and Bristol City, a very good striker, and him in League 2, geez. But then we see Rotherham, I think they've signed up Paul Mullin, so it's Paul Mullin against Wyman. Both of them in League 2 though is ridiculous, isn't it? Because both players of course played for championship sides. I think it could be a scrappy game. I wanted to change my prediction now because Wyman's home, but I ain't gonna do that. I think this could be a really scrappy game. I've backed Rotherham to really have a struggling season in League 2, finishing 16th, and I've backed Cheltenham just under my child. I've backed Cheltenham in 18th, so I'm gonna go Rotherham to win this 1-0. I think it's going to be a 1-0 win to Rotherham. Dan has actually said a couple of goals. He said 3-1 win to Rotherham. Next game is Chesterfield versus Fleetwood, and funny to say, both teams just played each other in the cup and the other day. Of course, Fleetwood, of course, going through there. I think this is going to be a tight game. I'm really looking forward to see how Fleetwood can do this season. I know they've finished 2 seasons or 3 seasons in a row in League 2, but I just think they've signed some really good players. They've got a great manager. With Chesterfield, I think they're going to be up there. I think I'll back them to finish 4th at the end of the season. I think they're going to be really fighting to try and get promoted this season with Paul Cook. Dan has actually backed Chesterfield to get a clean sheet to win 2-0. I do think Chesterfield will get a job done because it's at Chesterfield, you know, their first game of the new season and first home game. I'm going to go Chesterfield to win, but I think Fleetwood will score. I'm going to go Chesterfield 2, Fleetwood 1. Next game is Crawley versus Crewe, and again, same with Fleetwood and them teams. I'm looking forward to see how Crawley do, because they've been really good. Of course, I watched them against York and I thought they played some nice football. You know, everyone expected York to really win, but the football was just different from Crawley towards last season was really shocking, and it started like really good this season already against York, because then they played Watford and I think they had a couple of chances. I don't think Watford goals should have counted either, but yeah, I think Crawley home game as well in the first game is really crucial. Dan is actually backing Crewe to win 2-1. I'm backing the other way. I'm going Crawley 2, Crewe 1. 2-1 win to Crawley. Next game is Gillingham against Walsall. And I don't really know who it is because I know some people are backing Gillingham to be down there. I am as well. I think they're taking the Walsall side do a bat to get playoffs at the end of the season. I do think Walsall, I don't know if Walsall, it depends how they play in this game. If they lose first game now, I think that's going to be struggling. I don't think Walsall fans will be positive. Yes, it's only one game, but you don't want to lose first game if you want to get playoffs. I think Walsall going to score a couple here. I think with Grant in charge as a manager, I think he's a really good manager for this division. And I think Gillingham 0, Walsall 3. 3-0 win to Walsall. Dan actually said similar, but he went 3-1 win to Walsall. Next game is Grimsby versus Exeter, and I expect both teams to be up there at the end of the season, of course. Grimsby had a really good season last season, and of course Exeter have just came down from League 1. I back Grimsby to actually finish 11th this season. Of course, they got playoffs last season, had a really good season, but I just think they're going to drop off. And Exeter, I think I'll back them to win the league, pretty sure. So, yeah, I think this is going to be a tricky game. Dan actually is backing Grimsby to get a win. He's saying 2-1 win to Grimsby, and I get that because they are at home. But I'm going to go 2-2 draw. I think that's going to be a high-scoring game. Next game is Northampton versus Swindon, and Northampton have just came down from League 1. They take on a Swindon side who you don't want to take on a team what probably going to be up there at the end of the season, first game, do you? But of course we all know that Northampton are at home. I back Northampton to finish third this season, and of course Swindon, I backed them to finish 12th. And this season they actually finished 9th last season, so just missing an player. But I just think they're gonna drop off this season. They had loads of injuries in pre-season, so they need to start getting a couple of players in. But I think Northampton gonna win this 2-1. Dan actually has said 2-2 draw. Next game is Tranmere against Shrewsbury, and it will be interesting because I know most people are putting Tranmere to be up there at the end of the season, and I get why, because they've signed loads of players. But every time I got slagged off from Tranmere fans already, but every single time I put Tranmere to get players or to be up there, they do nothing. So there could be a season where Tranmere could have a really good season. They're taking Shrewsbury, definitely going to be down there. I just can't see them really rebuilding, and I reckon Tranmere are going to win this 2-0. Yeah, I think Tranmere will win 2-0. Dan actually has said 2-1 win to Tranmere. And the last game is York City taking on Bristol Rovers, and welcome York to League 2. Of course, York got promoted last season by winning the National League. They're taking Bristol Rovers, where everyone expects them to have a really good season. I don't know why. Bristol Rovers are getting hyped up. They have signed a couple of good players, and I get that. They've got a great manager in Steve Evans, but I just don't know. I think I'll back them to finish 13th or 12th. I think I'll back them to finish 13th actually. I do think Bristol Rovers will win it. Dan actually has a 2-0 win to Bristol Rovers. I think Bristol Rovers will get a clean sheet as well, but I reckon 1-0 win to Bristol Rovers. So there you go guys, there's my League 2 predictions game week 1. I hope you enjoyed this video. Subscribe and like, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace out.